Welcome to 1913. If you've ever looked at your paycheck and wondered where all that money went before you even touched it, you can officially blame this year. 1913 is the year the American government decided that your hard-earned cash was actually their cash. It's the year Henry Ford turned the factory into a high-speed hamster wheel. The year we created a financial Godzilla to run our banks. And the year the tallest building in the world opened, mostly so billionaires could look down on the people they were now taxing. Stick around, because 1913 is the year the old America officially died, and the modern, tax-paying, assembly line-working, crossword-solving America was born. The Taxman Cometh. We have to start with the ultimate mood killer. In February 1913, the 16th Amendment was officially ratified. Now, before this, the idea of the government taking a percentage of your salary was considered unconstitutional, un-American, and frankly, kind of rude. But the government needed money, and they promised us. They literally promised that the income tax would only apply to the ultra-rich. They said, "Don't worry, average Joe, you'll never pay a dime." How's that working out for you 100 years later? 1913 was the year the government learned that once you start taking people's money, it's really hard to stop. It was the birth of the IRS and the death of your stress-free April. The banking monster. But the government wasn't done with your money. For years, the US economy had been bouncing around like a pinball machine. Remember that panic of 1907 where JP Morgan had to bail everyone out? Well, Congress decided they didn't want to rely on a guy with a scary mustache anymore. In December 1913, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act. This created the Fed, the central bank that controls the entire money supply. People were terrified that it was a secret plot by big bankers to rule the world. And honestly, conspiracy theorists have been talking about it ever since. 1913 was the year we handed the keys to the kingdom to a group of bankers in Washington, and the economy has never been the same. Ford's moving disaster for the workers. While Washington was busy with your taxes, a guy in Detroit was busy changing your life. In 1913, Henry Ford flipped a switch at his Highland Park plant and started the first ever moving assembly line. Before this, workers walked to the car to build it. Now, the car walked to the workers. It was a miracle of efficiency. It dropped the time it took to build a chassis from 12 hours to 90 minutes. But for the workers, it was a nightmare. They felt like robots in a human-sized clock. They started quitting in droves because the work was so soul-crushingly boring. 1913 was the year we mastered the mass production that gives us cheap phones and cars today. But it was also the year we realized that being a cog in the machine is a great way to lose your mind. The era of the giant ends. Speaking of cogs and machines, the man who basically owned the machine, JP Morgan, passed away in Rome in March 1913. When they opened his will, people were shocked to find out he only had about $80 million. Rockefeller reportedly looked at the news and said, "And to think, he wasn't even a rich man." It was the end of an era. The titans of the Gilded Age were dying off, leaving behind a world that was now run by committees and bureaucracies instead of single, powerful men. 1913 was the final rest in peace for the age of the robber barons. The first crossword, the death of productivity. If you've ever wasted an hour trying to find a four-letter word for an extinct bird, you can blame Arthur Wynne. In December 1913, he published the first ever word cross puzzle in the New York World. People went absolutely insane for it. It was the TikTok of 1913. Libraries had to ban people from using dictionaries because everyone was hogging them to solve puzzles. 1913 was the year America found a new way to procrastinate, proving that even 100 years ago, we were looking for any excuse to avoid doing our actual jobs. The Armory Show. What is that? While people were solving puzzles, the art world was having a nervous breakdown. In February, the Armory Show opened in New York City. It was the first time Americans saw modern art. stuff like cubism and fauvism. People looked at Marcel Duchamp's nude descending a staircase and said it looked like an explosion in a shingle factory. The President of the United States even called it rubbish. 1913 was the year America realized that art didn't have to look like a bowl of fruit or a fancy general. It could be a mess of shapes and colors that made you angry. Welcome to the 20th century. The Cathedral of Commerce. But while the art was getting messy, the architecture was getting massive. In April 1913, President Wilson pushed a button in Washington, D.C. that turned on the lights of the Woolworth Building in New York. At 792 feet, it was the tallest building in the world. They called it the Cathedral of Commerce because it looked like a giant Gothic church but was actually full of office workers. It was a monument to the power of the American dollar. 1913 was the year we decided that if we couldn't reach heaven with our morals, we'd at least reach it with our skyscrapers. The 17th Amendment, power to the people? In May, the government decided to give us a little treat to make up for the taxes. They ratified the 17th Amendment, which allowed people to vote directly for their U.S. senators. Before this, state legislatures chose them in smoke-filled rooms. Now, you got to choose the people who would spend your tax money. It was supposed to end corruption, but let's be real. The smoke-filled rooms just moved to different buildings. 1913 was the year we got a voice in the Senate, even if that voice was usually just screaming about the taxes we were now paying. The Grand Central Rebirth. If you traveled through New York in 1913, you probably saw a miracle. The new Grand Central Terminal opened in February. It was a masterpiece of stone, stars, and steam. It had the first ever loop tracks and a ceiling that showed the constellations. Backwards by mistake, but who's counting? 1913 was the year we decided that a train station should feel like a palace, making the commute to those soul-crushing assembly line jobs feel just a little bit more royal. The Buffalo Nickel. In March, the U.S. Mint released the Buffalo Nickel. It was a beautiful coin that showed a Native American on one side and a massive bison on the other. It was designed to celebrate the real America. Ironically, the bison on the coin was a zoo animal named Black Diamond because we had already killed almost all the wild ones. 1913 was the year we started putting the things we destroyed on our money, so we could remember what they looked like. Classic America. The Parcel Post Revolution. On January 1st, 1913, the U.S. Post Office started its parcel post service. Before this, if you wanted to send a big package, you had to pay a private company a fortune. Now, the mailman would take it. People were so excited they started sending everything through the mail, including eggs, bricks, and even actual children. Yes, in 1913, at least 2 people mailed their kids to their grandparents because it was cheaper than a train ticket. The post office had to pass a rule saying no humans in the mailbag. 1913 was the year we realized that if it's cheap, Americans will try to mail a toddler. The Los Angeles Aqueduct, the water thief. In November, a guy named William Mulholland stood in front of a giant pipe in California and said, "There it is, take it." He was opening the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which brought water from the Owens Valley over 200 miles to the desert of LA. It made the city possible, but it literally sucked a whole valley dry and started a water war that hasn't ended to this day. 1913 was the year Los Angeles stole its future from its neighbors, proving that in the West, water is more valuable than gold and people are willing to do anything to get it. The death of the Hetch Hetchy. Speaking of water wars, 1913 was a tragic year for nature lovers. President Wilson signed the bill to dam the Hetch Hetchy Valley in Yosemite to provide water for San Francisco. John Muir, the famous naturalist, fought it with everything he had, saying it was like damming a cathedral. He lost. 1913 was the year we decided that a big city's thirst was more important than the most beautiful valley on Earth. It was the first major battle between conservation and development won with a knockout punch. The Department of Labor split. In the final hours of his presidency in March, William Howard Taft signed a bill that split the Department of Commerce and Labor into 2 separate groups. It sounds like boring paperwork, but it was a huge win for the working man. For the first time, there was a cabinet-level department dedicated purely to the wage earners. 1913 was the year the government admitted that the bosses and the workers might have different interests, and that maybe someone should listen to the people doing the actual work. The 50th anniversary of Gettysburg. In July, over 50,000 old men gathered on a field in Pennsylvania. It was the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg. Former Union and Confederate soldiers, many in their 70s and 80s, shook hands across the stone wall at Pickett's Charge. It was a powerful, tear-jerking moment of national healing. 1913 was the year America tried to finally bury the ghosts of the Civil War, even as the new ghosts of the Industrial Age were starting to rise. The birth of future icons. 1913 was a busy year for the stork. In January, Richard Nixon was born in California. In July, Gerald Ford was born in Nebraska. In February, Rosa Parks was born in Alabama, and in September, Jesse Owens was born in Alabama too. 1913 was secretly stocking up on the people who would define the next 70 years of American politics, civil rights, and sports. It was a vintage year for future legends. The Webb-Kenyon Act. The Dries, the people who hated alcohol, got a massive win in 1913. Congress passed the Webb-Kenyon Act, which made it illegal to ship booze into dry states. President Taft actually vetoed it because he thought it was unconstitutional, but Congress overrode him. 1913 was the year the No Fun Club realized they had the power to override the president, and the road to total prohibition was now wide open. The first transcontinental phone line. If you wanted to call someone in San Francisco from New York in 1913, you were out of luck, unless you were willing to wait. This year, engineers finally finished the first transcontinental telephone line. It was a massive web of copper and poles crossing the entire country. 1913 was the year the instant world got its first set of wires, making the country feel just a little bit smaller and a lot more talkative. The Rockefeller Foundation. In May, John D. Rockefeller officially chartered the Rockefeller Foundation with a $100 million gift. He had so much money he literally didn't know what to do with it, so he decided to promote the well-being of mankind throughout the world. It was the largest philanthropic gift in history at the time. 1913 was the year the world's most hated monopoly owner started his transformation into the world's most famous grandfather figure. The Panama Canal, almost ready. And finally, in October 1913, President Wilson pushed a button in the White House that blew up the Gamboa Dike in Panama. This was the moment the waters of the Atlantic and Pacific finally met. The Big Ditch was almost done. 1913 was the year the world's map was permanently altered by American dynamite and engineering. We had literally cut a continent in half. So, that was 1913. A year of taxes, central banks, and moving assembly lines. We were a country that was getting faster, taller, and more taxed by the second. We were mailing children, solving crosswords, and damming cathedrals. We were a nation in transition, not knowing that the peaceful world we lived in was about to explode into a global war in just a few months. But hey, at least we had a new penny and a skyscraper to look at while we worried about our tax returns. Stick around, because 1914 is coming, and it's bringing a whole new kind of chaos to the party.